This is John Young. Today we're going to be looking at the Ryobi 40V lawnmower here. This is a battery-powered lawnmower. And what we're going to do with this one today is we're going to show you how to change the blade or sharpen the blade removal and basically putting the blade back on. Because a lot of you are probably kind of like me. You get something like this. The first thing you're going to do is run out into the yard and you're going to mow, and you're going to forget to, the sequence of the blade, and it's going to be messy, so you won't remember how it all goes. So we're going to do this little video showing you how to remove it, how to, some suggestions on sharpening it, and then we'll put it back on, so that way you can refer back to this video and remember all the pieces, because there's more than just one piece, i.e. the blade, when you do this. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure that there isn't a battery in the mower. And this is right out of the box, brand new. So of course there isn't a battery, it's charging right behind me. But you want to make sure battery is out so you're not going to have any surprises when you're working on the underside. We're going to tip this up, and I think I can get it to sit just like that so you guys can see the bottom here. Now the nut that's on this, holding on the blade, is a 5/8 inch nut. And I would recommend, if you're going to be taking that off, using something like a socket, a 5/8 inch socket, or maybe a box end wrench. The open end, I don't know if I would use too much, because yes, it will work, but when you're really needing to torque a little bit, it's too easy to round off the edges of the nut. So I would go with either the box end or a socket. It's really not a lot of work, so I'm going to use my little wrench here. It's not too big of a deal. I wouldn't use anything like an adjustable wrench, because adjustable wrenches, again, can be a little bit loose and not hold tight, and they're going to round off the edges of that nut, so you don't want to do that. But we're going to just use a 5/8 inch. Now, when you're removing, you're going to actually be holding the blade, and I would recommend using gloves, because these things can be kind of sharp. This one isn't when it comes out of the factory. I'm kind of a little disappointed about that. It could be a lot sharper. I would use some gloves and hold that. And then you're going to be turning, and you're going to be turning it so it's actually pushing the blade into your hands. That's the way these are removed. So you push and take it right off. When you go to put it back together and you're going to be tightening, you're going to actually putting pressure on the back side of the blade. So if you're putting this back together and you're putting pressure on, holding the blade, and you're putting pressure on it with a wrench, and you're finding out that it's kind of cutting into your fingers because you've got the blade, you've got it backwards. So we're going to start taking take the nut off. So first off, we have the nut. And the way this works is this isn't a washer built into the nut as far as a lock washer. One has a little bit of an edge right here, if you can see that. That little bit of an edge kind of grabs into the metal, and that's really what holds this. So I'm assuming that when you put this and you compress it, and there's a couple of plastic pieces, all that kind of puts pressure on it, so it's not going to come off very easily. I don't know. I'm always liking kind that have maybe a little bit of a gasket or rubber inside there, so when they get in there, they're not going to come off easily. We'll see how that goes. Second piece is just a metal piece, but you'll notice that this has a little kind of an oblong shape into it. This is actually the part that will grip the spindle, and this will allow you to hold and be able to work against that nut when you're taking it apart. Without this little oblong shape in here, so this isn't just a special washer, this is a very special washer. So that's number two. The third part is a plastic, we'll call it a plastic washer, for lack of a better way to describe it. And it's got a couple of different angles and grooves and such with it on the sides. So it's meant to go and sit, and you can feel that it catches. And then with this a little bit larger hole, it goes actually over the piece that's on the other side of the blade. And we'll show you that in just a second here, because the next part off is the blade. Now the blade, you'll see, has a large round, and then it has like a half moon shape here. That coincides with the next piece, which you really don't need to take these up, but we're going to take them off to show you. We have another little plastic apparatus here, and what that does is it fits in there. Did I have it right? Get the half moon lined up. No, I don't. There we go. And that lines up. Now this will also make it so that if you don't have this lined up properly, your blade is going to be upside down. So you put this on with the 3 points down, and then this all goes in there, and your half moon, your full, and then your larger one. And then you will notice that this little piece of plastic goes over, and the inside will go and fit around the outer edge of that larger one in the middle. And then the final piece on here, just because we can take it apart, is kind of a little metal bushing here that goes off and kind of gives it its spacer. Really, it's about all it is a spacer. We're going to put these two back on because we can. We don't need those up. The blade. Now, it's a thinner gauge blade because this is a battery-powered. They're really concerned about weight, but there's a lot of plastic. It's mainly plastic, but the blade is metal, and it's a little bit thinner. My idea is I think I would take the blade and I'd put a little bit better of an edge. I mean, it is an okay edge for cutting grass, but it could be a little bit sharper. I think the angle that they have sharpened it at is perfect. It's just it could maybe have a little bit better edge. Depending upon your situation, if you're in an area where there's rocks and such, I wouldn't sharpen it to a really fine edge. But if you're in an area where you're more residential and it's nice, flat, clean, what have you, a little bit of a better edge could be used on this. So we'll line this up with our half moon and making sure that is perfect. Putting our little plastic retainer on there. Then we'll put this little metal plate back on, and we've got to turn it till we find where it fits in over the part of that spindle that has those two flat sides. Now we are there, and it is all set. We can put our nut back on. And now I'll be tightening, but now I'll be pushing on the back side of the blade as opposed to the front of the blade. You want to make sure that's pretty tight because that would not be something you'd want to have come off while you're out mowing. So that is the different pieces and such when it comes to taking the blade off. This is a 16-inch 40-volt lithium-ion mower here from Ryobi. We'll put links in the description so you can go check out this mower, but it's really not that difficult. And with battery, that's about it for servicing of this mower. This is John Young, the Weekend Handyman.